gentlemen, dear colleagues, dear experts from the world of the academic research. We are delighted to be here with you in this truly extraordinary hall to open the Screenwriting Research Network Conference 2024.
Hello Jan, and thank you for being with us at the Conversations of the Screenwriters Research Network YouTube channel. Hello. You are the organizer of the Olomouc 2024 conference, and we want to thank you, and this is not just formal, for the occasion that you made for us to meet such a wonderful city and such wonderful people and such a great team you are coordinating, and we think you do a great job. And now I'm speaking not just the guy with the video here, but as also a member and a colleague of yours in the Executive Council. Thank you for this.
Thank you, and I'm happy you're here and everyone come.
We were speaking before we started recording, and we were addressing the fact that in a way, even we know now that Olomouc is an important city of Europe. It's a former imperial city and the capital of the Kingdom of Moravia. So, however, it's not on the map like Brussels, like Berlin, like London, like Milan. So I think the fact that we brought the Screenwriters Research Network conference into such a special city in the real middle of Europe. What was your biggest challenge in doing the conference here?
I think the biggest challenge is updating program during the conference, but everything went smoothly before and even during the conference. And now one challenge is the weather, because it's raining to our lunch room a little bit.
What would be the advices you would give to the future conference organizers?
I think the most important is to have strong team of responsible people, because no one can organize conference on himself. So it's important to bring responsible people like a year before the conference start, and then some more responsible people like half a year before the conference, and let them involve in every level of organization, let them communicate with participants, let them handle money and administrative, and make them believe that they are part of it. Not just helping to organize the conference, but really let them organize it.
Would you complain? Would you feel that you didn't have enough responsible people next to you?
On contrary, I have only responsible people in my team. I was a little afraid because in the past I had some issues with students helping with some stuff in academia, but this is not the case for this time. Everyone is perfect.
You studied philosophy and you studied film studies and mostly Czechoslovak cinema and film history, and we had the occasion to do one of the interviews in your office, and I remember I saw your desk, and on your desk there is a book of Eisenstein, and we are in the country from which one of the most important screenwriting gurus ever, František Daniel, came from, as known as Frank Daniel by the Americans. And even though, you know, we are praising this, or some people are praising a lot like we saw the keynote speech that opened this conference. It was, yes, in an homage also to Frank Daniel. However, all the examples that were on that board were most American movies. And yes, we do know that Frank Daniel had most of his known career in the US, but for me was a bit curious that you're not speculating enough the legacy of Frank Daniel in the Czech Republic.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, and it was same for me. Like when I was at my first SRN conference in Potsdam, I think it was 2014.
Exactly. It was one of the last I attended before this one.
Yeah, we were in the same panel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I talked to several Americans who approached me and asked me about Frank Daniel, and for me he was like one of many filmmakers from 50s and 60s. And I knew nothing about his American career, about his text, so he was just one of many. And but it was interesting that especially Americans ask about.
I think it was J.J. Murphy at that time because he was very into this.
Gabrielle Palec, I remember Gabrielle Palec and Janine.
Yeah, because she was a student to Frank Daniel.
Yeah, in Columbia.
Yeah.
And so I start to digging a little bit, and I'm collecting materials on him. And I hope the situation with knowledge about him and his Czech career and his American career in Czech Republic will get better. But you know, one more thing which is interesting with Frank Daniels, I'm working on a book interview with one professor at FAMU Film School in Prague. He worked in the department of screenwriting for 25-30 years. And what he told me about the method of teaching, it seemed pretty similar to the method Frank Daniel started in 60s.
Well, actually, the FAMU school is, I mean, it used to do, or it used to praise this workshop they were doing, which was EU finance called Midpoint. Mm-hmm. And Midpoint, at least the slogan of it or the marketing of it was that it's based on the principles of Frank Daniel.
I think this is more complicated with Frank Daniel's period in Moscow at VGIG, because based on some interview with Daniel, he hated the system of teaching. And he developed, he may be inspired by sequences in Russia, I don't know about it, it's possible, but he really hated the system of teaching. And when he came back to Czechoslovakia, he decided that he would base his teaching system of screenwriters, and he inspired in how musicology is learned at university.
Which is the development of a theme. That's basically what music is about.
Not just theme, but doing small steps in learning etudes.
Teaching-wise, I understand what you say. Yeah.
And so this is what I found fascinating with him, that he inspired in different fields, because he started as a musician.
Now coming back to Olomouc, and how is your opinion so far on what happened? How do you, if you can be objective, and I'm sure you can be, compared with the other conferences, how do you relate to the Czech one? How do you feel this?
Well, we try to learn from previous conferences, so it's hard to compare. I loved some aspects in Vienna. I loved some aspects in Missouri, in Columbia. So I tried to bring the best things together and do it according to their manual or example.
What do you think you brought, or you improved, or?
Well, I wanted to bring one new thing, which is a poster forum for young researchers, because in other fields such as psychology, sociology, young researchers who were not prepared to talk before in public, they present their research on posters, but there wasn't enough posters to do a forum out of it.
But however, you had this Erasmus group of students who was in parallel to our conference, which was interesting. Yeah,
but most of them is undergraduate, and for the call for posters wasn't successful. So this was one thing which I consider important, and I hope that on future conferences someone may succeed in organizing poster forum as a part of conference. And the second thing, it's more like a small detail, but I think a nice detail, that we have real cafe, not just coffee breaks.
Okay. Which actually were good, to be honest with you. Also the food, I found it great. And the great coffee, and you had a real barista, which usually it doesn't happen to such things, you know. So congratulations for this. I was very impressed. You are the newsletter editor. That's your main mission. Let's put it this way in the council. What's in your plan for the future, or in terms of newsletter, or in terms of your contribution to the council, or how do you see the future of the network, and what would you look for in the future?
Yeah, I would like to bring back into newsletter small interviews on the last page. We had it like for 2 years, but it stopped because I wasn't able to get the interview in time before the deadline. So this is one thing which I would like to bring back. And for the network, I hope that it will work as it is, mostly, because what I like about the network and our conferences is that this brought together people from practice, from academia, theoreticians and screenwriters and teachers of screenwriting, and we can have different perspectives on our research and not just digging in some theoretical conceptions which are mostly useless.
Jan, to end our interview, first of all, I thank you very much for this, and because I think this network, it's first of all about people. I was pretty much impressed that we met your family yesterday.
Yes.
You have a beautiful family, congratulations. You have a beautiful school, you have a beautiful team, and thank you very much for everything you've done for us, and thank you for this interview.
Thank you, Lucian.
Thank you all for being here. We're always excited to sort of just do the year rundown of what has been happening between conferences. So it's the annual general meeting, and we're just going to get started so we can talk about what happened this year. All right, so first of all, we definitely want to thank all the folks who've helped us in the last couple of days. I think we all agree, it's been wonderfully organized, and everyone has been so helpful. From the students, we're very pleased that they've been so useful. Thank you very much. Jan, who's not here yet, because of course somebody just hit him up with a question in the hallway, so he will wander in eventually, but we will then applaud for him when he shows up. But it's been wonderful, obviously. The report is from all of the council members who have been on the council for the last couple of years. So if you guys would stand up so people know who you are. Right, so you run into people in the halls and you know who's doing some stuff, so yay, excellent. Again, Jan is in this group and he's just not here right now, and Clarissa Miranda, who couldn't be here, so that's really lovely. So we want to just briefly talk about the successes, and yes, then we're going to give some awards out, so yay. So some great things, right? One of the cool things is Isadora, as the membership chair, put out the survey with all these really good questions, and people wanted to be more involved, so then we asked, who's got the time to run some more working groups, right? Because we know from this morning, Maxine's working group has been a lovely thing. We're going to see tomorrow morning Chris Nealon. And of course, we have Romana's working group that has recorded things and put them online. So then, happily, Craig said, I do this thing. Maybe it would be interesting to everybody else. And apparently it has been. I'm sure you got very good emails.
Yeah, we had 25 turn up for the session.
That's wonderful. So obviously something to spread the word about if you have PhD students. It's a wonderful group to be involved in. So I think we're using technology and Zoom and all of that really well in ways we didn't even know about 10 years ago. So that's a great one. There is in process an online script reading group. About 7 people signed up to want to help run that. So I put them all together in an email and we'll see what they come up with within a month or so. And then you'll see on the listserv invitations to whatever they might set up. But we all like that idea. We've seen a lot more conversations. We know we don't want junk email off the listserv, but it's lovely when somebody asks a question about process, right? And then somebody has a good answer to it. So I think that's a really good use of the listserv, and we're seeing it used more for that, which is useful. We've been trying to make sure every so many months we invite the working group leaders to come and talk to the EC about how many people are in the group, what else do they need, what more publicity do they need, because people don't always know what are the opportunities. And we all know this stuff is being offered for free by the various people who are here. So we want them to take advantage. Tomorrow, Chris, where's Chris at? He might be. He's looking for a room for tomorrow morning. But he's going to be using his creative working group, and they're going to do a 2-hour writing session, right? So I think that's a beautiful thing. I'm sure he'll be here in a minute, and he can tell us more about that. And Paolo is talking about starting a group that has to do with AI, because that's clearly a question on everybody's mind. So I just see that we're getting more of these little splinter sections, which just keeps people involved between the years of having the conferences. Some new ideas that have been brought up, and this is from Clarissa Miranda, who was the ECR and is moving into being a full-time EC member. She is going to plan in 2 years to have a smaller regional conference, much like what Carmen did for us a few years ago, which intrigued a lot of people into joining the group. So she's going to do it in Florianopolis, Brazil. So put that in your planning of vacations. We think maybe 2026, but that'll be something that when we get it more organized, we'll be able to give you a real date. So that's a big deal. And now I'm just briefly going to run through the reports of all the people on our council so we know what everybody's doing. Well, Chris, I just mentioned your group tomorrow morning. Do you want to say something briefly about what? You don't know where we're going to meet yet. I know.
Tomorrow morning. It's Chris. Can I have you step close?
Just so we can see you. Yeah.
Perfect.
In the middle of an event. Okay, so we have a creative play working group tomorrow at 10:45. We don't know where it's going to be yet. It's earmarked for the Media Lab, which is just down the hall over there. But that might change. Might get updated because the Media Lab room is quite small. So we're going to see if it can switch. But it's 10:45 tomorrow morning. And it's a group for exploring creative screenwriting exercises that we can use in class with students and sharing and refining those exercises and also just getting time to play and experiment ourselves in the middle of a conference setting where we do a lot more cognitive and theoretical stuff. So come along and play.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Then in terms of all the different people on the EC, they all work on something different. If you don't know, Jan is the person who puts out our newsletter 4 times a year. If you ever have a book to announce or some information, you should email him and he will include it. So that's a big deal. And also, when I asked everybody to give me their list of what they did this year, he said, just the newsletter. And I said, just the newsletter? And this concept of a whole conference you put together. Maybe we should remember that, right? So obviously he spent his time this year planning this conference. Then Anna has been working as a secretary, and so she's been taking the minutes every month as we meet, and they are all posted on the website. So if you want to read through all the stuff people talk about and what new plans are in the way, they're always up there. And of course, last year she came up with the idea of the teaching award, which we'll be talking about in about 5 or 6 minutes, right? I talk fast so we can move to the good stuff. But that's a lovely thing, and again, a new idea. Partially, we come up with these things. Obviously, there's no money in it because we don't have money in our group. But it's about having something for people's portfolios, and it's about recognizing good work, which we think is something that's useful to do. So thank you, Anna, for that. Rose has been running our website for the last couple of years, and that is a heck of a job because you have to liaise with leads who are the people who sponsor it for us and have from the very beginning, and we're like the bottom of the barrel of emails they answer, apparently. So it takes a while. But if we remember from last year, she added the lovely bit where we changed the We Welcome All to all the different languages that are part of the group, and I think that's a really beautiful, inclusive thing that we do. Then she added last year a list of guilds. We collected that from everyone so people can pay attention to that. So we're adding to the menu, and the website is growing, which I think is lovely. And then she initiated the SRN Conversations, which are on the YouTube channel, trying to get people from past conferences to talk about their memories and have a bit of an oral history. And I think that's a really beautiful thing that we'll have to rely on in the future. Then we have Isadora, who's the membership officer, right? And Isadora, of course, is the person who accepts people in when they join us on listserv and deals with any issues they have. And so at this moment, she just put this together the other day. We have 805 people signed up. Obviously, we can see we have about 140 people who are able to come, and probably another 100 who are also active in other things but simply can't afford to travel. So that's an interesting thing for us to know. She's also collected through the survey she did last year the information about kind of who we are, which I think is really interesting stuff, right? If you think about what we do for a living, we talked about this a little bit last year, but it's so amazing we don't realize that a good half of us do both practice and academia, right? We don't imagine that sometimes in an academic conference, it's only one thing. So it's a really interesting thing that we know about each other, as well as all the countries that we're from. And we keep trying to expand that. So there's been some discussion about hybridizing things and how can we include people from other places and all that. But it helps us to know who our major members are. Then how many conferences have people come to? I always think that's really interesting. And again, makes us think, what can we do to make it easier for people to be able to attend? So all this information she's been gathering for you, who's in which of the work groups, what they might be interested in, which this survey is what led to the new working groups that are being put together, right? So I think that's brilliant. So we thank her for all of that. And then this is the reminder, right? If you haven't done that, you can fill that in and add to the data that we're collecting. So that's beautiful work from Isadora. Then Lucian has been wonderful this year. We asked him if he would take on the conversations. He just walked in. And instead, as you've noticed, he was able to bring to this conference a director of photography, Mario, who's been taking all kinds of footage. Thank you. With the idea that it will liven up these oral histories that are being created. And then we'll be able to maybe do some things, who knows, on TikTok because we expand into social media. But we'll have across the year ways for people to connect and remember. And he has been interviewing people. So I think that's been a really brilliant job we're very excited about. Then Clarissa, who couldn't be here, was the ECR. She's moving into being a full-time member of the EC. And Hugo has taken over as the ECR, so yay. And so they put together this report about what's going on with our social media. So you can see the usage that we have on Facebook. So interesting when things peak and when they don't, right? As we were coming near the conference, people were talking more, right? So that's interesting. It's a Facebook page, if you haven't joined it. We try to post the stuff in the newsletter and, in all the different places to be seen. She revived the Instagram page, which had been giving a lot of attention, and some of the younger members are more often on Instagram, so that exists. And she started this LinkedIn, which seems to be the place more people are comfortable going because they do want the professional connections. So we post all the updates and things on the LinkedIn as well. So do check that out. And of course, this is for analysis of where we should be going. Hugo is again taking over that job, so he'll be moving us in these areas. And I think that's pretty cool. And that's a lot of work from folks. Again, all doing it for free. All right, so now I get to the good stuff. We have the book awards we do every year. And so we have an award and we have an honorable mention. And the jury this year wanted to make sure that we talked about the fact that what they're seeing and what they appreciate seeing is the transcultural aspect of so much of the material that's coming out. We're really talking about world screenwriting, not just our little individual enclaves. So that's very cool. So the winner is Paolo, Klaus, and Rasmus. one of the things we love about the network. It was so inclusive to so many members, an opportunity that so many people had, and that is they loved the transcultural aspect of it. So we would just like to have you guys talk a little bit about how it came together, right? And what
Well, what can I say? First of all, I'm confused because I thought it was for monographs, and we thought, but this isn't it. Okay,
Yeah. No.
So, but it started a long time ago because without Klaus and I knowing that he was trying to develop a project such as this, and I was trying to do that, and we both at that time told Ian. That then was what brought us together, and then these things take time because you have an idea, and this was probably medicine, or just after medicine.
I didn't attend medicine. I just contacted you, and then you were able to get to Vienna.
Yeah.
And then we were
and then I
sitting
got
in
some funding
Czech.
to go to Vienna and meet Klaus, and then that's when we started really to discuss it. And then after some time, we realized that, well, okay, if it's going to be, because we started jotting down a list of possible topics, a list of possible contributors that we've known, not just through the network, which of course provided a very substantial pool of possible contributors, but also other people's or contacts that you might have had. And then we soon started to realize we need a third co-editor, and so I think that
I suggested her.
we agreed right away that she would be
Yes.
the co-editor, and she turned out to be a fantastic co-editor, and more than that, because I think that over the years we met so many times.
Online.
So online, of course, and then yes, we that's how I will start. That's the genesis of the whole thing. So it took quite a few years to get it started, and then another 3 years from when we really started calling people and piecing it together and proposing it to Alberg, and then to get it into production. So yeah, it's been possibly 6 or 7 years.
And now it's
Development
here.
and production. So
And what we were talking about these last days were to present the contents of the book. We want to start an online video discussion with the authors, with those of you who contributed to this book, 44 authors, who want to just talk with one of us for, I don't know, 15 minutes or whatever it is, and it's live and open so you can join, but we will also record it and put it on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So we will announce this in the next days or weeks, so I guess.
Yeah, so one of the things is that the book is quite expensive. And it's really kind of aimed at libraries, so that's great if you have, so if you have a library and you can ask your library to get it, that's great. But for those people who don't have that access, these video conversations with authors, we hope will be that they'll kind of be a way of getting those ideas and thoughts out there to a wider audience. And because it was absolutely from the first that we really wanted this to be very inclusive, very broad range of topics, countries, cultural perspectives, practitioners and academics and all the people who do both, which, and so just really get it, having that range, diversity. So do look out for information about those.
I think that we wanted to have the numbers on the back cover, so it's 44 authors from about 30 countries. So that kind of variety and diversity was there from the beginning, and it was one of the first priorities that we wanted to have, and hopefully we managed to do at least in part what we were aiming for at the beginning. Maybe one thing that we can add to what you're saying is that there is a way to have a cheaper copy. If your library has a subscription to something that's called My Copy, and many university libraries will have that, it's a much discounted price because it costs £40 rather than 200. So think about that.
It's a real difference.
There are some flyers outside, because if you really want to pay that amount of money, we have a discount that the publisher is giving us until next month. So flyers are outside on the desk, and of course we have to thank all the contributing authors. All the contributing authors. Some of them are here. Zen and Craig. Anna is over there. Raphael. I don't know if you're here in the room.
Right there.
And there you are. and apologies if I'm forgetting anybody who is here. But there's been a very long ride, but very, 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 very enjoyable. Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And then she's not here, but they chose an honorable mention, and it's Margaret McVeigh's book. So again, if you don't have the book, it's another book to suggest to your libraries, and not just school libraries. Local libraries sometimes are interested in certain things that students can use. So keep track of that. And then, of course, we also then have an award that we give out to an article that came in a journal. And so the winner of that is Gabriel. Where are you at? Are you at? Yeah. So just kind of tell us the genesis of that, and, the process.
Well, I first just want to thank the members of the awards committee, Professor Brenes, Professor Kreiner, and Professor Jayalakshmi, for the care with which they looked at all the submissions for our network. And we are all writers, which means that we are all revisers in this room. And when I first submitted this piece on screenwriting sound, it was a piece taken from my guide on screenwriting that I'm composing, which is directed towards undergraduate writers. And it was really through the scrupulous and supportive editing of Klaus Teiber for the issue of the soundtrack that it acquired the kind of scholarly substance and with the sort of pedagogical invention, which makes it an honor to have it recognized and distinguished by our organization. So thank you, really, Klaus. Thank you, awards committee members, and thanks, SRA.
Very lovely, very lovely. And of course, there was also an honorable winner. I do not know if he is here. I do not think so. So again, but also from the same collection. So Klaus is a winner in his own right. And then yes, I do want to thank our judges who all spent a lot of time, you are correct, doing that. And being on a judge of these various awards is also another way that you can be part of things if you like. And we switch out every couple of years and want them to be as inclusive and as international a set of judges as they can be. So that's very cool. All right, so we're going to do the teaching award announcement. This, as I said, was a new thing that Anna brought to us from another group that she's in. And these are our judges, so some very excellent and important people read through all this material as well. And so I'm going to ask the two folks who won to come up and just give us a little bit about their teaching philosophy, right, so that we can all hear that. And the winners are Armando and me. Congratulations, we're very excited. This is the inaugural year, so. What's your teaching philosophy? What do you like about teaching? How does it help your writing? Whatever you want to say.
Yeah, well, what I've done is I've looked into what's called theme-based learning. It's about a 50-year-old teaching method, which has never been used to teach the arts for some strange reason. I actually want to come back next year and do a proper talk about my research, because I should be handing in next year, apparently. So it's about fostering collaboration within the teaching classroom. That's essentially what it promotes, and that's the root of it. That's why I investigate it, and I'm still writing on my results, so I don't really want to say too much at the moment, because I'd like to share that next year, because I'll have more clarity next year.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's about collaboration essentially.
Excellent. Thank you.
First of all, thank to the executive committee, thanks to the judges, and I'm very honored of this award. Well, we started. Myself and all other people from my university started to participate to these conferences in Potsdam, if I remember well, and immediately we felt at home, because this mix of academics, pure academics, practitioners, half and half, is something that we found very, very interesting for us. And if I had to qualify in any way, my way of teaching, my method of teaching is to teach in a very strict connection with the industry, with the professionals, because I'm sure we can learn a lot from the professionals and we can also give something to them. So this is probably the main thing. The other thing I say I'm very, very lucky because in all these years, I started the program in 2000, so we are running 24 years. I've been working with wonderful people. So this, as you can know, as you can understand very well, this makes everything easier. So here there is Paolo, that is Paolo Braga, one of the oldest, but also other people that have come to these conferences, some of them are here, and so this thing makes everything much easier. So it's been a joy, this ride, and I'm very, very happy for this award, and thank you again very much.
There are two people in this room who don't want me to say thank you to them, but I am. One of them's looking away now. But Max and Phil, they're both my colleagues. They introduced me to SRN. Max got in touch with me about the award, said I think you should go for this. So nobody does anything on their own.
That's so true. Nobody does anything on their own, and this group is proof of that. All right, so now I get to announce that Javier, obviously we would have an election, except we only had a couple of people who nominated themselves for the Executive Council. It's a reminder that more people are welcome to do that in the future. The Constitution allows us 9 members, and so if there are not more nominations than spots, the people who have nominated are simply asked to join. So in the next year, this will be the new members of our group. So Juan Carlos, you're here somewhere? Yes, there is Juan Carlos. Chris is not here, but will, as I said, step up. Hugo, you're here, so he's going to be our ACR. He's going to happen through this year, and next year we'll add another person, and then move around like that. So it's a big job. It needs 2 people, and then Romana, who couldn't be with us, but is also joining this year. So these are the new folks we're going to have, and that means we're going to say goodbye to a couple folks who are going to step out of the council. So I want to thank Anna and Rose for all that they've done for our very much appreciate all of that. And now Stephen has an announcement about an upcoming book.
Was there the other? That's okay. Was there the other slide as well?
That's the one.
Okay, sure. Thanks for giving us your time to talk in the series about the series. We all have something of a love-hate relationship with academic publishers and the way they price their books and don't always foster open publishing. When Felicity Plesser asked Ian MacDonald to form a series, he invited me and then JJ Murphy and later Catherine Millard. And I was drawn to this because it may be hard to recall, but my own book was rejected 20 times. And I remember this can be a lonely and isolating experience. So one of the best parts of being a series editor for this series has been being able to offer support during the process and offer an extra layer of advice. And people who don't always get accepted into the series will always get support and often go on to publish elsewhere, and we provide them with book proposal examples. It's great to see the network mature, and I don't think the handbook would be possible without the research network's diversity and so on. And similarly, we do a certain kind of work in making sure the scholarly side of the screenwriting research enterprise gets profiled. Ian was worried that the field might not be developed enough for a series and it might stifle new projects, and I don't think that's happened. We have had dry and rainy periods, but I was just looking at the statistics. 1,195 hardbacks have been sold, 939 paperbacks, 831 ebooks, and 28,828 downloads. So it's an academic series. It takes up the challenge of where we sit as a discipline in relation to other disciplines and the broader space of academic knowledge. Looking back, we published different kinds of books, books that discuss the social consequences of screenwriting, my book on ethics, the collection, Eva Redvale's second book in the series is coming out now on writing for young children in Denmark. That'll be our 10th book, which is one of the reasons I just wanted to stand up and commemorate that. Books looking at the conditions of forms of screenwriting. Ian MacDonald's book, Gantz and Price on De Niro's screenwriting practice, Redval and Krause's book on quality German cinema, and books looking at the nature of what writing for the screen looks like, storyboarding, Catherine Millard's book on digital screenwriting, and Kasid Fontova's book on modernist screenplay. So the two latest are in the tradition of books looking at the nature of writing, Kath Dooley and Alex Munt's book, and also looking at conditions and form of storytelling. Florian Krause's book and Eva's book will be on the way soon. Thank you to all the authors. On behalf of the series editors, Eva Nova Bredval, she says hi to everyone. Miranda Banks and myself, we thank the Palgrave team, Felicity Pelester, Alina Abajeb, for their continuing support. And thanks for the authors putting their trust in us. And we're very proud of these books and the other 8 behind them. And may they be read well.
Excellent. So, just so everybody, maybe if you weren't here last year, you know where we're going. So the reminder that as we're coming up, we're going to be in, we're about to find out where we'll be next year. We all know it's Australia. After that, then we'll be at Oxford Brookes, and then we'll be back in Milan. So if you're planning your vacation schedule, right, keep that all going. And I think that's everything. Yeah, because now it's Craig's turn to tell us about next year.
My university and the University of South Australia and the University of Adelaide are currently going through this huge merger to become Adelaide University in January 2026. It's going to be this humongous university, which is a lot of work, as Kath already knows. So in many ways, this will be one of the very final conferences at the University of South Australia, because March 2026, the University of South Australia ceases to exist. But of course, from January, it becomes something else. It still exists for 3 months behind the scenes. So we're really excited. And by the way, the new branding is much nicer than this. This is, it's purple, it's limestone, granite colour, it's beautiful. And it looks a lot like Aarhus University as well, so that's another thing. So we are very proud and excited to welcome you to Adelaide next year, South Australia. For those of you who's heard of Adelaide, some people haven't heard of Adelaide. You've all heard of Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney. We'll be in Adelaide, South Australia, the 17th to the 20th of September, 2025. It's a Wednesday to a Saturday, so we think we're going to probably kick off Wednesday evening with some fabulous event of some sort. And obviously we are going to run into the Saturday as well, just because of work schedules and things. But hopefully for most people who are making the trip over, you'll be fine to come in on a weekend. We like to work people hard in Australia. So this is, I'll just show a few slides about what it looks like, what to expect, and I'll be revealing the conference theme. Yeah. So this is Adelaide. This is what it looks like for those people who've never been or never seen it. It's a beautiful city, which resembles in many ways like an American kind of city. It's kind of got hills surrounding it. And it feels like it's like the hills are giving you a hug. It's a really nice, it's a very cute, charming city. This is essentially the CBD, the Central Business District, plus a bit extra. Right in the middle there, at the very back of the CBD, you'll see this tall brown building. I actually live in that building. And I do face the north, so I can actually... I'm looking towards where the camera is. And the university is just over here next to the river. So that's what Adelaide looks like. It's very easy to get to through various transit points, Middle East, Asia, etc. Even you can go direct to Perth from the UK as well, and a 3-hour flight to Adelaide. It's very easy to get to. Here's a surprise, which nobody knew about apart from Kath. We're actually going to combine the Screenwriting Research Network conference with another conference / film festival called Sightlines, Filmmaking in the Academy. Some of you know about Sightlines. Some of you have probably been to Sightlines. Who's been to it or heard about it? And we also have I say we, I'm not involved anymore, but we also have a creative practice journal called Sightlines, which some of you have been involved in. So every few years, this conference / film festival runs. And so through Kath's leadership, we decided that, hey, We did it in South Australia last year, I think it was. Why don't we bring the two together? So it will be screenwriting and filmmaking practice together in one. And it's going to be a combined program. So we don't know what that's going to look like, but anyway. But there is another reason why. So an intertwined hybrid conference and creative screen practice festival, which we hope sounds appealing to people. And you'll see when I get to the theme that there is a little recognition here. So again, just to show you what Adelaide looks like. Some of you know already. In 2024, actually, Adelaide was voted by Architectural Digest as the world's most beautiful city. And it's true, it's gorgeous. And the second most beautiful city was Tallinn, Estonia, which is also very pretty. So this is what Adelaide looks like. This is North Terrace, which is the main kind of cultural and arts precinct that runs across the north of Adelaide. And both current universities are basically scattered across North Terrace. One of the most world's most livable cities, as well as the most beautiful. A few years ago, it was voted the third most livable city in the world. I think it's down to number 11 at the minute, but that's fine. Since I moved there, it's gone down places. And this is just in the middle of the city, Victoria Square, or Tardanyanga, as it's also known. And here we've got some beautiful pictures of all the courts. So if anybody's feeling illegal when they get there, we've got plenty to offer you there. Again, stunning. Look at this. And depending which way the wind's blowing on the day, you actually fly in usually this direction, and then you take out over my apartment block, just so you know. It's a really gorgeous city. And by the way, so this is the Glenelg area of Adelaide, and you can get a tram from the city in about 30 minutes. Really, really easy. So if you're interested in some tourism as part of it as well, please do consider this. And I obviously, for many of you, you'll know that it's very, very famous for wine. South Australian wine. You've got the Barossa, you've got McLaren Vale, you've got the Clare Valley, you've got the Adelaide Hills. I think there's about, I don't know, several hundred wineries just within half an hour, 45 minutes of Adelaide City. So we may have to look at some social... We did that last time, didn't we, with a smaller group. So we'll see how that goes. And this is just about the university. This is the Museum of Discovery, or MOD, which is based at UniSA. It's kind of an arts, science, futures museum, just to give you a taste of the kind of things we have on campus, which you'll experience. And we'll try and weave some of this into the program as well, to mix things up a little bit. And UniSA Creative, which is the creative arts, creative practice, media faculty within the University of South Australia, which I have the pleasure of leading currently. This is what we do. So just to give you a sense of the disciplines that we cover in our faculty, we've got architecture, creative industries, interior architecture, comms and media, contemporary art, journalism, film and TV, visual effects, product design, illustration, animation, graphic and communication design, and urban and regional planning. So we'll kind of somehow bring this flavour to the conference as well. Okay. So... This is the conference theme. We've got to go conceptual at times, yeah? Like, there's no point doing the UK people, the Ron Seal, it is what it, what it says in the tin is what it is. This is conceptual. Hyphen, the between, the connected, the hybrid, hence the two conferences together. This is the theme for the combined 2025 Screenwriting Research Network and Sightlines Filmmaking Academy Conference hyphen festival. What does a hyphen mean to you? What does it mean for practice? How does it appear in industry? What are its theoretical implications? From the practitioner academic to the writer-director, to creative critical, to the teaching research nexus, the documentary drama, to the anti-hero, to the non-representational. We are interested in creative, critical, and hybrid responses to the theme hyphen. Brilliant. You like it? I'm glad. So you can already see some of the things are really obvious, but we're also quite interested in the or non-obvious as well. So really want people to push boundaries and in this thinking. So already I can see the cogs are turning in in your minds and eyes. So yes, that's it. Hyphen. We look forward to seeing you. That's it. Thank you. We'll do a call for papers at some point soon-ish, soon-ish. And see how we go. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Thank you so much for everyone. Congratulations, Alvin. More wins. It's a lovely thing. And Rose has a reminder for everybody.
Actually, that's what I told Roseanne, but it's not really what it is. I just wanted to really say that I hope that you've all felt very welcome and met new friends throughout this conference. That's been my experience of every SRN conference I've been to, and I would really like to have been able to be at every one. But I just want to point out that it's your conference, it's your organisation. We deliberately don't charge a fee because we want it to be open to everyone, and we also share the workload. So we've already seen today that we have working groups, and through Isadora's initiative, we've now got people saying, well, I want to get a group of people together to do this and do this. But why I really wanted to speak to you now is to point out the chair. And our lovely chair, Roseanne, has done this job. She's been in the EC for 4 years, I think. And she's still with the EC as we go forward, but she's stepping down as chair. And I partly want to give us all the opportunity to thank her with a round of applause, but not yet. But I also want to say that, really we invite every member to just send an EC member an email saying, I'm quite interested to be at one of your meetings. We've got a really good document that describes the roles of the EC people. You can see the initiatives. The reason I wanted to put forward this little talk about the chair and being involved is that we've actually created so much, and not just Roseanne and this crop of EC members, but Paolo before us, Klaus. We've got a number of people along, in our community who have actually taken the role of chair at different times, and each of them have left a significant mark on the SRN itself. Through the initiatives that have come through the EC. And it's not that the chair has to dream up these initiatives and lead forward, but as a group we've come together, we share ideas, and then we just think, hey, that's quite fun, that's a bit cool, I'm interested in that, I'll find other people who are too, and we'll make something. So I'm very, very proud of what all of our ECs have created in the, since 2008. So not so long a time, and I want to just leave an invitation with all of you, whether it's now, whether it's 3 months' time or 3 years' time, think about connecting with the EC, think about connecting through your creative or the play groups, they're not all play groups, some of them will work, but what they call working groups, and make it your own, because it really is a very special organisation. And we have a lot of resources now, social media set up, YouTube set up, people to talk to, meetings to come to, and certainly with an interconnected world through digital technology, we can be so much more connected between the conferences. We love the conferences, of course, but it's just because we're at distance from each other doesn't mean that we can't actually continue to have these conversations and connect. But now I just invite you to give a big round of applause to Roseanne and